Dude, the stuff that came out about China manipulating our elections.
Oh,
Holy smokes. So this was a meme that came out, and it's like how CBC reports when a dude from Arkansas donates $5 to a trucker, China buys off 11 candidates in Canadian elections, and CBC just acts like they don't see none. Yikes. That's kind of what's happened.
yikes.
So
11 candidates.
And it was really interesting. So Global Mail dropped this huge story. Is CSIS found specific Chinese interference in Canada's election. What happened next? So they're saying that China employed a sophisticated strategy to disrupt Canada's democracy in the 21 federal election campaign as Chinese diplomats and their proxies backed the re-election of Justin Trudeau's Liberals, but only to another minority government, and worked to defeat conservative politicians considered to be unfriendly to Beijing. So the reason being is like conservative perspective was starting to lock down our borders and starting to like ban foreign investment specifically coming from China. And what happened is the way they kind of got people to be, at least Chinese Canadians were fearful of voting conservative, was saying that they're going to be like Trump. They're going to ban people from being able to come to school here and do all these things, and you shouldn't vote for them. And it was all part of China's plan, because what they wanted is they didn't want, A, didn't want any majority government. B, they definitely didn't want a majority from conservatives. They also didn't want to give that power to Trudeau. The reason being is they wanted a minority government because it allowed for politicians to fight amongst themselves in parliament.
Right.
They won't get nothing done. And especially with how divided our politics are, that was viable. There was a time when minority governments were actually really good for the country because both sides had to give up something to get something. Now we're so divided that minority governments don't really mean much. They just nothing
Gets done.
Nothing gets done. Kind of won't.
Except when you form a coalition.
Yeah. Shout out coalitions. We love that. And so that's kind of what happened. And it was a very interesting thing that came out because it came out from our Central Intelligence Agency here in Canada.
CSIS is our like investigation into like RCMP government. Like they look into them.
Exactly. And so the fact that this all came out, that there was strong manipulation in the election, I found was really interesting.
And I'll be honest, I didn't know about that till right now. Like, I didn't hear about that.
That's wild. Gee.
That was not on anything.
That was on CBC?
Yeah, that was not on CBC. That was not on Apple News.
Yeah, it was Global Mail of all places filmed that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a bombshell article, and it was kind of wild what ended up happening. Drawn from a series of CSIS intelligence gathering operations, the documents illustrate how an orchestrated machine was operating in Canada with two primary aims: to ensure that a minority Liberal government was returned in 21, and that certain conservative candidates identified by China were defeated. I was like, yeah, we can't have any anti-Chinese policies up in here.
Wow.
I mean, there's part of me was like shocked. Well, not shocked, but I was like, okay. But like, I also found out, I was like, oh, China thinks of us like that.
I know.
That's awesome. Usually it's just an American thing.
I know.
But there's like, oh, wow, Canada's a breeding ground for us to put our investments. We got to make sure we are able to keep doing that. So there we are. They keep buying up our real estate, and we keep letting them.
More than that, man. They buy everything. They'll buy farms. They'll buy fisheries. They'll buy everything that controls everything you need. They buy fisheries here.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah.
We talked about that before.
Yeah. Totally right. I forgot about that story.
So soon they'll own the buildings where you're buying the stuff, and they'll own the places where your stuff comes from.
I thought that was, just the misinformation campaigns. I was curious, like when we talk about misinformation campaigns, like what does this actually mean? So when you go into the documents, you start realizing it's, like they targeted specific individuals to campaign in specific districts and to, sway public opinion, which I thought was really interesting. And that's what they did. Man,
and it worked. 11
candidates.
Crazy.
Well, hopefully we never run for politics. They'll be coming after us.
Oh, dude, yeah.
We'll see what happens there. So as we talked about last episode, with a lot of the heightened tensions around World War III and all this stuff happening, this was, you brought this up too, this was likely a retaliation as well for Canada arresting that Huawei executive.
Oh, dude, that was a big deal.
That was a big deal. And the funny thing is, we never would have done it if Trump wasn't in power.
You think?
Yeah, Biden wouldn't have cared.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I don't think Trudeau wanted to.
No, definitely not. But we know that Trudeau is not he's soft, right? So if someone like Trump's in power, he's going to do whatever Trump wants.
He'll just send Americans here, like the FBI or something.
It's like, I don't think you understood me, Justin.
I'm going to have that person arrested.
Yeah, this is how this is going to work.